In early 2014, the vintage Star Wars collector world was rumbling with news that an FX-7 action figure from the vintage Star Wars action figure line had just sold at a UK auction house for what would be around $11.6 thousand in the US. Yes, FX-7, the figure that would get you laughed out of a sleepover party when you were a kid if you said it was your favorite figure. And if you said the same thing as an adult at a collector's toy show, you would probably get kicked out of that also. He looked like a gas station vacuum cleaner with a lot of hoses. At the time on eBay you could pick the figure up loose for about $8. You could even find him on a mint Empire Strikes Back Kenner card for around $200. As headlines were spreading around the internet and the world, the non-Star Wars collectors even started to talk about it. About how they couldn't believe anyone could pay that much for an FX-7. Others telling everyone they could that they had that rare figure as a kid. Even the auction house's spokeswoman said, and I quote, "This figure is not one I've ever heard of." Even the collectors were scratching their heads. How did this figure that hardly gets any love have two buyers fighting over it, driving the price up so high? Well, the news report left out a lot of details. I guess it was sexier to try to sell the story that a common, mostly unloved Star Wars action figure had broke sales records. But there were details that most of the news reports left out. This was not an FX-7 on a US Kenner card, as that was a pretty easy one to find. This was FX-7 on a UK PAL toy card. PAL Toys, if you don't know, was the Kenner of the Star Wars in the UK. However, that still really didn't make it rare by itself. The first Empire Strikes Back action figures released on PAL Toy was released on the 30A card back. The 30A had a smaller run, and almost any figure on a 30A card is hard to find, as most figures were released on a 30B card. The cards look almost the same with an untrained eye. However, there are little details that a trained eye will notice. For one thing, the PAL Toys logo is larger on the 30B card than the 30A card. Fonts used on the ages 4 and over text on the top right hand corner of the front of the card is different. And Made in Hong Kong is written in the racetrack on the 30B card, but it's not there on the 30A card. So you have an FX-7 on a rare release card. The figure is the same, but the card is not. Most collectors try to have a focus, rather than to collect anything on card. One of the most common focuses of a collector is to find the action figure on its debut card. Sure, they can get a Han Solo on a 20-back card, but being he was first released on the 12-back, they want Han Solo on the 12-back card. And this was the same for trying to get the very first FX-7 on a PAL Toys card. If you have all the figures on their debut card, you want to make sure you get the FX-7 on a 30A and not a 30B, or you'll have an incomplete set of debut figures. So as you can see, this wasn't just a simple story of the FX-7 selling for almost $12,000. There was a lot more to it than the headlines wanted you to believe. But was it really worth $12,000? Even the hardcore collectors that collected PAL Toys were shocked that the price got that high, even if he is hard to find on the 30A card. But when you get two people that need to complete their collection, two people with deep pockets, the prize can get really out of hand fast. Also, it must be noted that the winner of the FX-7 had placed a maximum bid before the auction, and this meant that the auctioneer would bid on his behalf. Let's say he told the auction house, "Hey, my highest bid's gonna be $12,000. Being that he wasn't at the auction, the auctioneer would up his bid whenever he was outbidded, until another bidder gave up or they reached his high limit. So even if the buyer may not have known he was gonna pay that much for the FX-7, he may have set his maximum price really high, thinking it would never get that close to it. And he wasn't there to say, hold everything, never mind, drop it. In the aftermath of the FX-7 story, you saw the asking price and even winning prices on the secondary market shoot up, even ones on the Kenner card. But even those on the common PAL Toys card was going for about 4 or 5 times more than normal. After the story died down about the FX-7, the price of the normal carded figures fell back down to the normal asking price, and people moved on. I'm sure there are some of these people that didn't read the full story, bought up all the FX-7s they could, believing they got some deal on a rare figure. But you'll still find websites today listing the rarest Star Wars action figures that will put FX-7 on the list. Well, that's a look at the FX-7 that sold for almost $12,000. As always, thumb up so I know you like my content, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk again soon.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.